differentiate y equal to x times sine of 6 over x. So we have given this function as a product of x times sine of 6 over x, right? And our goal is to find the derivative of y with respect to x. So how can we do this one? How can we differentiate or find the derivative of y with respect to x? So as I said earlier, since we have given the product of two function x, right, and then sine of 6 over x, so since we have a product of the function, the main like concept we need to think about is, okay, we have the product of the function, so what do we need to do? Use the product rule, right? So that's what we need to try. So let's try to use that then. So how do you use the product rule? What do you do on the product rule? We leave the first function as it is, right? So let's say we can write down x as it is, but don't forget to multiply by the derivative of the another function, which is here sine 6 over x. So we need to find that and multiply with the x, plus we need to also find the derivative of the first function, which is x on this case, and then multiply by the sine function as it is. So sine 6 over x as it is, right? So we need to do that. Okay, this is the product rule. We apply this perfectly, but the problem here is, what is the derivative of sine 6 over x? So let's spend a good amount of time on finding the derivative of that. Okay, so let's try to find what is the derivative of sine 6 over x. And we also need to find the derivative of x. We know derivative of the x with respect to x is 1, so that's not so difficult. But so that's why let's spend time over here to find the derivative of sine 6 over x. Okay, why it is not easy or directly we can find the derivative of sine 6 over x? Because we have here composite function, sine function composed with 6 over x. So if that is the case, if we have the composite function, which rule do we apply? Chain rule, right? So let's apply that then. So how can we use that? So what do we do? Well, we need to know what is the derivative of the sine x with respect to x, which is cosine x, right? We need to compose that with 6 over x. Then if that is the case, this will be cosine of 6 over x. But since it is composite, we need to also multiply by the derivative of 6 over x. So that's what the perfect use of the chain rule, right? We find the derivative of this function, which is sine, derivative of the sine is cosine. We compose that with 6 over x. Okay, so we did that, and don't forget to multiply by the derivative of 6 over x. Okay, so we are almost done, but what is the derivative of 6 over x? 6 over x function can be written as 6 times, if you want to change into the negative exponent, this is can be written as 6 times x to the power minus 1. I like that form because I can now see we can directly use the power rule. If you don't want to use that, you can use the quotient rule here, but I prefer this alternative where I can just directly use the power rule there, right? So if I use the power rule, the first function is as it is over here, but if I apply the power rule on over here, oh, by the way, 6 times, so constant multiple rule, so write down 6 as it is, multiply by derivative of x to the power minus 1, which is by applying the power rule, this will be negative 1, right? Bring it down, write down x as it is, subtract the power by 1, so negative 1 minus 1 will be negative 2. So if that is the case, this can be now written as what else? I mean, we did the derivative, so just need to simplify. 6 times negative 1 will be negative 6. We write that down, right? Okay, negative 6, and then times x to the power minus 2, and then times cosine of 6 over x. So this is the derivative, or you can also write down this as negative 6 over x squared cosine of 6 over x. This is the derivative of sine of 6 over x, which we need here to find the derivative of the given function, right? All right, so let's do this one. So return back to our original problem. So here is x, leave that as it is, multiply by derivative of sine 6 over x, which is we have figured that out here, right? So let's write that down, times negative 6 over x squared times cosine of 6 over x. So that is the derivative of sine of 6 over x. So we find that, and then plus derivative of x with respect to x will be just 1, very easy, right? Times sine of 6 over x. Okay, then what we have to write down here is see if we can simplify. Here is x, here is x square. We can cancel one x out as a common factor. So if we do that, this can be written as negative 6 over x times cosine of 6 over x plus sine of 6 over x. And I believe, if we have not messed up anywhere else, this is the very nice derivative for this function given here as y x times sine 6 over x.